playoff pressure is on as the survivors will shrink to 70.
Welcome to PGA Tour Today, presented by MasterCard.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining me as we prepare for the second leg of the PGA Tour playoffs for, well, this piece of hardware right here, the FedEx Cup. I'm Amanda Balionis. Last week at the Barclays, we saw the number of qualifiers narrowed from 125 to 100, and this week players will battle it out to survive the Deutsche Bank Championship at TPC Boston, where only 70 players will advance to the BMW Championship in Chicago in 2 weeks. Young players have been the trend of the 2011 season, so it's no surprise that leading the attack this week at the top of the FedEx Cup standings is 27-year-old Dustin Johnson, who claimed the top spot after winning the Barclays last week. Also in the top 5 is young Webb Simpson, who grabbed his first PGA Tour win just 1 week before the PGA Tour playoffs began. But just because we've seen so many young players win this season doesn't guarantee that the trend will continue. In fact, over the last 4 seasons of the FedEx Cup, established players have won the hardware. Tiger Woods has hoisted the trophy twice, while Vijay Singh did it in 2008, and of course veteran Jim Furyk is our defending champion. Singh, Steve Stricker, and KJ Choi are all in the top 10 in FedEx Cup standings as they try to hold on to the Cup for the veterans on tour. So naturally, this competitiveness on tour got us thinking in our poll of the week on PGAtour.com and on Facebook. So we asked you, which player do you think has the best shot at winning the Deutsche Bank Championship this week? 42% of you think that Luke Donald, the world number 1 and 5th in FedEx Cup standings, will claim his second PGA Tour victory of the season. In distant second is Steve Stricker, who already has 2 wins under his belt in 2011, while the rest of the votes spread out pretty evenly among Phil, Jason Day, and Nick Watney. Thanks again for all who voted. With an elite field like we have this week, it's tough to pick featured groupings, but here are a few guys to keep an eye on in round 1. In the morning, Rookie of the Year frontrunner Keegan Bradley will be teeing off with Mark Wilson and Jason Day at 7:46 a.m. Eastern. They're 13, 14, and 15 respectively in standings. Bradley, who didn't make the cut last week, says he's focused on performing well in the Northeast, where many of his Vermont native friends and family will be cheering him on. It probably doesn't hurt that one of his last memories of TPC Boston is one of pure domination.
I actually remember beating the guy I was playing with by 20 shots on 9 holes. I remember I shot 32 and he shot 52. That's kind of a interesting fact. But I do remember being excited to come here and being able to come back here in the Deutsche Bank and the FedEx Cup playoffs it's really cool. Like I say this pretty much every time, but it's a dream for me to be out here and to be able to be involved in the FedEx Cup is amazing.
All right, so I'm sure Bradley won't be beating anyone by 20 shots after round 1, but he is definitely a player that no one is overlooking so late in the season, especially after he told everyone this week that his goal is to now play his way onto the President's Cup team. For more on what's going on this week up in Beantown, let's throw it out to Mark Carnival and Fred Albers of the PGA Tour Network.
Thank you, Amanda. As we head into the first round of the Deutsche Bank Championship, the second event in the playoffs for the FedEx Cup, players find a well-conditioned golf course here at TPC Boston, despite Hurricane Irene coming through this area last weekend. The greens are in great shape. They're fast. The golf course is great. Players are really looking forward to playing this week here at TPC Boston. As I look forward, over the last few weeks, we've had young winners here on the PGA Tour, but I'm looking towards a veteran. I spent some time last week on the practice tee at TPC Sawgrass with Vijay Singh. He is pain-free, and as they say, Amanda, the proof is in the pudding. Vijay Singh coming off 2 top 5 finishes in his last 2 PGA Tour events. Look for Vijay to perform well in the first round. Now, over to Fred.
Mark, whether it's Vijay Singh who wins this tournament or another player, one thing I know for certain, that player will be accomplished around the greens because these green complexes can be severe. There is a lot of movement in the greens. By movement, I mean a lot of undulations in the putting surface, a lot of slopes, a lot of little tabletops where they can tuck flag sticks. You've got to have very special touch around these greens in order to convert birdies. But if you give yourself an opportunity, you have a chance to make putts because these greens are in absolutely perfect condition. Amanda, you can hear all the coverage on the PGA Tour Network, SiriusXM. Our broadcast begins at noon Eastern Time all the way up until 6 o'clock at night.
Thanks, guys. And remember, as round 1 action begins on Friday, our live crew will have you covered with our pregame show on the tee beginning at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And live at coverage will follow immediately after until 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you Friday afternoon. And I'm pretty sure whoever wins this FedEx Cup will treat it much better than our boys up in Boston did the Bruins, who just recently dropped the Stanley Cup.
PGA Tour Today is presented by MasterCard, which invites you to play like a PGA Tour player at select TPC courses. MasterCard is a proud sponsor of the PGA Tour.